Hi guys, Raina here. Recently I did a video on possible Democratic contenders for the 2016 presidential race, and I said I would do a Republican version, and so here it is. And the first thing that strikes me when I look at this list that I have compiled is how many air signs there are. Now, before I begin, this is just a list of possible contenders. Nobody has come forward yet. But I see three Aquarians and three Geminis who might actually run, and that's quite a lot of the total number. I have for the Aquarians Jeb Bush, Paul Ryan, and Sarah Palin. And, for Sarah Palin, she probably isn't going to run unless there's a reality show in it for her. But Jeb Bush really seems like a serious candidate. I don't know if he has any intention of running. He has the liability of having the last name Bush because of what happened under his brother W. But his father, George Sr., is actually considered a moderate Republican. So if we can just forget about everything that happened between 2001 and 2009, I think he actually stands a good chance. Being married to a Hispanic woman and speaking Spanish fluently, hey, he can reach out to that community, and you never know what could actually happen. I don't know what his policies are, but if he presents himself as a moderate, he might actually stand a chance. Paul Ryan is the other Aquarian I mentioned. I don't think he has appeal for the Republicans. He was a running mate of Mitt Romney in 2012, and Mitt himself was not a very popular candidate. So I don't see Paul Ryan as catching on. And for the other air signs, I see three Geminis: Newt Gingrich, Bobby Jindal, and Marco Rubio. Newt Gingrich, he seems like a soapbox candidate. He likes to run his mouth, as Geminis are wont to do, just to give his vision of America. Air signs like to communicate their ideas to the public. Bobby Jindal and Marco Rubio are both children of immigrants. Bobby Jindal's parents are from India. Rubio's parents are from Cuba. They both had kind of embarrassing experiences before the public. I think both of them gave responses to State of the Unions and kind of choked. Were a little bit too nervous. And so, whether they're ready for prime time yet, I'm not sure. They're both rather young, so they might need a little bit more seasoning. As for the other contenders, Ted Cruz is mentioned sometimes. He's on the cusp between Sagittarius and Capricorn on December 22nd. And he's another one with Cuban heritage. And Mike Huckabee has run before. He was the governor of Arkansas, and he is a Virgo. So you have that earth sign, and Ted Cruz is on the cusp of Capricorn. That's an earthy sign. But I think the strongest contender of all the Republicans is Rand Paul. Rand Paul is a Capricorn. His father, Ron, was a representative from Texas for many years, a doctor, and he is a darling among libertarians, has spoken about getting rid of military bases overseas. And I think that since his father has crossover appeal, actually with liberal Democrats for some of these issues, that Rand could have the same appeal if he spouted the same issues. And that is the key, is that he has to do that. I've never gotten a great vibe from him. Maybe it is because he's a Capricorn. Maybe he doesn't have charisma. But I don't need a candidate with charisma. I need a candidate who will really um, get down to earth and talk about the actual issues. We don't need soaring rhetoric right now. And that's what air signs and fire signs are all about. As I said in my last video, I feel that earth and water signs are more practical signs, more concerned with tangible issues. And since Rand is a Capricorn, if he decided to really deal with things in a practical way and talk about our economy and present solid solutions, not just a bunch of hot air, he might stand a very good chance, especially if he talks about cutting the military, because that is such a big portion of our overall budget. And that money could be put to greater use. We have all kinds of infrastructure issues. You know, our highways are crumbling, we have overpasses, things like that. And we could put so many people to work just with these government programs, you know, work programs. So we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting, even though, as I said before in my last video, I do think it's professional wrestling. I encourage everyone to vote. If you don't like, the two parties, as I don't, then vote third party. Tell them how you feel. We need to advocate for more parties, not less. And not that how could you have less than two parties, but you know what I mean. Things are becoming more and more narrow because there's just so much money that is necessary to mount a campaign. Last year, I think the two presidential campaigns spent a total of $1 billion on the general election. Can you imagine that? I mean, that is just obscene. Airtime should be free so that, people without the same funds can have their voices heard. But that means that corporations would not be owning politics. And as we know, it's actually the opposite. They are owning it. And oh, and I forgot to mention Michelle Bachmann. How could I forget Michelle Bachmann? She's an Aries. If she ran again, I think it would be more of a novelty. I don't think it would be a serious bid. Of course, knowing Michelle, she would think it's a serious run. So that's about it for now. We'll see what happens. Take care, everyone. Bye.